Welcome to another fabulous episode of Toot Your Own Horn Music Matters. I am here with the one and only and fabulous Maryanne Lacaille. Welcome, Maryanne.
Thank you. And I'm so excited to be here, Lisa. Looking forward to you and to sharing thoughts with you and expressing all that I can express about the clarinet.
That's awesome. And so tell us about how you started it. How did the clarinet come into your life?
Well, as with everyone else, I started playing around sixth, seventh grade, and somebody put a clarinet in my face and they said, try this. So I did, and I fell in love with it. And so I was about 9 years old at the time. And I just being an only child, and both my parents were musical. I just thought the thing to do was to practice. So I practiced for hours and hours, and I was practicing so much that my parents said, you know, kind of got a little frustrated, and they said, "Why don't you put the clarinet down and go out and play or something?" Uh, so, but anyway, that was quite a while ago. And as the years progressed, I graduated high school and went to college, and I fell in love with college. And so I started at Washington State University, and then I went down to uh, California and studied down there. And they weren't offering me what I needed intellectually, so I went back east, enrolled in Boston Conservatory of Music and New England Conservatory of Music. And I was studying with Harold Wright, Peter Hadcock, and probably a teacher you're not familiar with, Attilio Poto.
Wow.
And Attilio Poto, he was a wonderful, sweet, gentle Italian man. And he worked under the direction of the great, um, for the Tosca, played in the ballet orchestras. And he gave me a lot of words of wisdom and helped me to be the person that I am today. And then after that, I got a full scholarship to go to University of Massachusetts. And so I took that, and I was in a woodwind quintet. And then summer came, and I came back home, and I met a wonderful man who I'm currently married to for 44 years in January. And I thought, my career is going to be over. But how uh, un, unabashed I was, because it was just getting started.
Great.
So we moved here in Seattle in '97, and I bought we together bought a houseboat, and I'm living on a beautiful little houseboat here in Fremont, Seattle, Fremont.
Beautiful.
And it's like a little paradise to come home every day.
100%. But I want to go back, Marianne, to the beginning, only because one of the things I love to understand and unpack for our audience, who we hope becomes fascinated with how much of a career you turned this into, but more importantly, what was it that made you so sticky around this? Was it that your parents were really involved in music and so you wanted to be able to play with them? Was it that you didn't have enough to do, or like what was it that got you to on this so much?
Yeah. Well, I'm a woman of either black or white. I'm not shades of gray. I'm either going to jump into something and do it all the time or not do it. And so I decided that I was just going to live, breathe, eat, sleep, clarinet.
But what exactly was it? Because that's such a big what's fascinating to me about musicians and about the trajectory is that if you've never been exposed to music, because it's such a little thing can catch your fascination, and to have it become a a humongous part of your life for so long. Like, is there anything you can tie it to? Is it something that your parents said or something they did that was so important to you that you were willing to apply yourself? Was it the shininess of the keys? Like, what was it that made you say, "I'm all in"?
I've always been an overachiever,
Mhm.
and I got everything I did had to be perfect.
Mhm.
And if it was not perfect, I was very depressed. And so I worked extra hard.
I see.
And being very isolated in a lot of ways was good for me.
Mhm.
And so I kind of pulled into myself, and I would practice everything I get my hands on.
Huh.
And not much of a social life at all, but that's what pretty much turned it into uh, a career, a very successful and what I would call brilliant career for myself as a woman.
Absolutely, 100%. So and to have studied with Harold Wright and to have studied with, I'm sorry, Peter Hancock, which is just I mean, these are just legendary for those of you who don't know these names, and the 3rd name I actually don't know. Tell me again the 3rd name.
Attilio Poto.
Yeah, these I mean, these are brilliant people, and, I mean, Harold Wright has legendary recordings, and Peter Hancock was an amazing teacher, I hear from all things.
Oh,
Did all 3 of those experiences continue to propel you forward? Tell us a little bit tell us some stories, tell us some things about those experiences because 'cause they're pretty amazing.
well, of course, Peter Hadcock was my E flat clarinet teacher,
Mhm,
and Attilio was at the Boston Conservatory,
mhm.
and the other two were at New England. And actually, when I was attending school back there, we were not allowed to study at two conservatories.
Oh,
So I would take a lesson with Attilio, and then I would meet after my classes. I would go over to New England and study with Harold White just to be around him, to be exposed to this incredible talent.
mhm.
Um, Propelled me forward, and the energy that he gave to me, I was able to take that and turn it into something that would work for me.
Hmm. What was he like as a teacher? I haven't heard a lot of teacher stories.
He was a very short man. He was
Okay.
about 5'2". He was a wonderful gardener
Oh.
and very soft spoken.
Mhm.
And I would go to his Boston Symphony Orchestra concerts, and I'd sit in front. He played double lip. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Mm-hmm.
Marcellus used to talk about that all the time and refer to the beauty that it produced in the sound.
So, and when he would do a recital, he sat in a chair, and he'd sit right at the edge of the front of the stage, and I would be right there on the first row, just lifting up, just adoring him and admiring all his his suavity, his elegance, and the way he phrased so beautifully.
Mhm.
I was just blown away by that, and I I I see people like that, and I go, I want to play like that. I want to become a Harold Wright, which I knew I never could, but I thought, wow, what an inspiration, so that's
And was
uh,
he an encouraging teacher? Was he what was his disposition in terms of teaching you and how he approached encouraging you to go forward in a career in it?
well, Lisa, he actually never prodded me to, oh, you've got to play clarinet, you've got to, um, at the conservatory, we were all kind of in the same bucket, we were all working hard, and back in the 70s, this was 77, 78.
Mm.
Um, there were a lot of things going on in Boston, and so I started um, working. I was actually working. Um, I was playing jazz too,
Huh?
and I was in the Bo Winokur jazz band. I played clarinet. I did a lot of Benny Goodman stuff, and at the same time, around 77 or 78, Teddy Wilson
Mhm,
playing at the Copley Plaza.
mhm.
And I was playing at the merry-go-round bar just right around the corner. My set would end at 10 o'clock, and Teddy's would begin at 10 o'clock in this other little place. And I was playing jazz. So after my gig, I would go sit in with Teddy when he invited me, and we did Benny Goodman stuff. And I just I was in heaven. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm playing with the great stride pianist, Teddy Wilson. He had these huge hands, and he was phenomenal. And I would play like Moon Glow
Mm.
or begin some Artie Shaw, Begin the Beguine, and And so I got into jazz quite a bit. Um, then I got into opera,
Hmm,
and I was invited to perform the Ice Break under the direction of Sarah Caldwell,
hmm,
Sir Michael Tippett's Ice Break. And so I kind of dibbled and dabbled in a lot of different things
hmm.
artistically. And so that was kind of my life in Boston.
Wow, that's amazing. And so were your parents professional musicians or were they amateurs or what was the story with your folks?
Well, my mom taught piano, but she was never a professional.
Mhm,
My dad was a singer,
mhm,
but they were never, uh, how do I say it? They never had the wherewithal to pursue it intensely.
mhm.
They were more of your industrial players, play a little, play in the band, we'll play this, we'll do that. But nobody was as focused as I was.
Mhm. But they were very obviously inspirational and they wanted you to do it, and then you went on to I assume that no one disrupted 'cause another pattern I see among people is that if they have somebody who was really, really mean or really didn't encourage them or a band director that wasn't very friendly, it can derail the whole experience, right? And it sounds like everybody supported you on this journey and so it's really important to be around people who wanna help you, right? It sounds like that's yeah.
Exactly. My parents were, I could have asked for better parents.
Mhm.
They were loving, supporting. They gave me everything. Um, I wanted an E flat clarinet. My dad went out and bought me one, you know. Um, Reeds, music, whatever I wanted. My mom would take me to the Lee's music shop and we'd go buy music. So they were the best.
Awesome, and your teachers were obviously totally encouraging, but were any of them focused on your career in any way outside of just making you be the best musician, or were career topics really left to you to figure out?
Lisa, it's interesting. No one prodded me or pushed me. Oh, you got to be a soloist. You got to be do this. Um, I just took it upon myself. I was so that's the word I want to use, dedicated and so inspired by all these people in my lives that I wanted to be as good as I could be. I wanted to break new ground barriers. I wanted to create. I have a very strong, I have a very strong inner child, and that helped me a lot. When I was 23, I was going on 13.
Mhm.
So I think you can follow how that goes. Um, so what can I say? That's
Yeah, yeah.
the first leg of my life.
So what happened after you got done with your studies? But it's fascinating to me too. I mean, I get that you're a very driven person so that you would figure your pathway out, but it's interesting to me that nobody really spent any time talking to you about a career. Like that's also really interesting to me just because these teachers are legendary and they're very accomplished. And so you would think they would, in Northwestern, Marcellus was, letting you know how competitive it was. And he wasn't necessarily giving you a lot of advice other than making it be known that you might not succeed and that it was something to do at your own risk, essentially. But I mean, they didn't really help you develop the career, but at least there was some conversation, even if it was sort of scary conversation about what your odds were of being able to get a job.
Right, and you have to remember this is back in the 70s. Things have changed a lot. So when I moved to Seattle, um, I um, put in an application to play with Phantom of the Opera,
Mhm.
and I got a call like a week later from Mel Rodman, who was the artistic director for Phantom. It's a really useful touring company. We want you. We want you to play E flat, B flat, and bass clarinet. So I moved to Seattle actually moved to Seattle in 1990,
Mhm.
but I bought the houseboat in 97. But before I moved here, I was living on Queen Anne Hill, and I got the job offer and I took it. So I toured two, almost 2.5 years with Phantom,
Wow.
uh, a USA tour.
Mhm.
And then I came back and about a month or so later, I got a call from Bill Meade with West Side Story, and they were doing a European tour.
Mm.
And so I jumped on the wagon and headed out to Milan. I was Milan and Frankfurt for that tour. Then I came back and I got another call from Mel and he wanted me back with them. It was just back and forth and I was playing at the Fifth Avenue. Um, I did Phantom at the Fifth Avenue and a couple of shows. So I was at that point in my life, I was really into theater.
Hmm.
Never in a thought would I've thought that I would be where I am today. I was just, oh, theater, oh, jazz. Oh, okay. So I was just doing everything I wanted to do. I was teaching too.
Hmm.
So
Oh my gosh. And so then what? Were you married by this point? Where were you in your life?
right. We were married in 82.
Mhm.
And so settling my husband was um already he formed his own company. Today it's huge. It's a construction company. And he's been with them for over 30 years. He's the CEO. And so he's just kind of like me. You find something and you stay with it for years, for all your life.
Mhm.
And so that's where we were. What else?
So when you started going on these tours, I guess what I'm trying to understand just in kind of how your life looked. You're going on these tours and you were married or you weren't married? Meaning were you leaving your husband to have to go on these tours?
No, he doesn't play an instrument. No,
Okay.
it was just me.
It was just you, but you weren't married, so you weren't leaving him at home.
Oh, we were married.
Okay. And you're
But
leaving him at home and you're going out on these tours, and that all by itself, like, that's a big deal, like, keeping going, 'cause those are, like, really long tours.
I know. So he would come and visit me.
That's
Uh,
great. That's really cool. And so when you got done, did the gigs dry up, or well, you wanted to stay home more, or, like, what led you to, like, what came or what happened next?
well, so after all that happened, I came back and I set up a studio by 97.
Mhm.
Uh, I have teaching studio here in
Oh,
the house,
lovely.
and it's really lovely. It's all wooden floors, recording equipment.
Oh, nice.
So so I started just kind of set up teaching here in Seattle, never having thought, oh, I'll probably never go anywhere again. And so then I got involved with some of the local community orchestras.
Mhm.
And see, I shouldn't say this, but Seattle's a lovely city, but it's very inbred.
Mm.
And nothing pays around here. The orchestra, they don't pay. Um, and if you want to set up a concert and like in a church or something, you've got to rent out the hall and you've got all this stuff. And I just didn't want to do that.
Mhm.
So in 80, well, actually going back, jumping back, 85, I joined the International Clarinet Association.
Mhm.
And so I started going to all their clarinet festivals. So that was probably the next leg of my journey. I got very involved with them and went to all these wonderful festivals and performed. This is an interesting story. And I did that for years and always involved with ICA. And then, sort of say, recently, a couple of years ago, I got involved with ECA, and I am now um, with ICA. I'm now the state chair,
Mhm.
and I'm also on the board of directors for ECA,
And ECA, tell the audience what ECA is.
European Clarinet Association.
There you go.
And I'm very, very proud and lucky and excited um, because all these new things are coming my direction later on in life. And I'm going to continue with ICAs and ECAs. ECA, by the way, next year is going to be in Cyprus.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really exciting. I'm going to be in South Korea um, in a few months with ICA. So anyway, but that's jumping ahead. Sorry about that.
Yes, okay.
So back in 2012, um, well, my dad passed away, and so I inherited a lot of money. So I took all that and I bought a lot of clarinets,
Good for you.
bass clarinet, a bass and horn, clarinet C, a bunch of B flats, A's, the E flats, and then I bought all the fancy equipment.
Mhm.
And for years, from 2012 to 2021 or 22, I just played B flat
Mhm.
at A, of course. And then I started researching. I'm really into academics, of course, having gone to college for 19 years.
Oh my gosh. You
Yeah.
got your did you get your doctorate?
Yes, I do have my doctorate. I also have a degree in Shankar analysis, which is music theory. That's a very um, difficult form of analysis. And I could talk to you about it, but it would take up most of your podcast. So anyway, um, and all the new talent coming out now, I realized that I just could not keep up or compete with these 20 and 30 year old somethings on B flat. And I thought, I got a basset horn upstairs. So I started working on basset horn. And oddly enough, it just clicked in.
Mm.
And so I started practicing all my stuff on basset horn. I was still playing B flat and A, of course,
Right.
but the basset horn I just fell in love with. And I started doing some videos and performing around, and people just wow, they thought it was an alto clarinet.
Right.
And so over the last 2 years, I've just researched and I found all these fantastic composers. Of course, the standards, Mozart and all that. But I'm now getting into new music. I'm I'm very into AI,
Oh,
robotics, Um, did you know that the Malmo Symphony in Sweden did a world's first performance with AI robot cellist?
no.
Uh-huh.
That's wild.
And there's a YouTube recording of it.
Mm.
If you want to check it out. But it's amazing what they can do.
Mhm.
And with all the robotics and in medicine,
Mhm.
and in fact, Toyota Corporation came out with a robot, a violin playing robot.
Oh, really?
And so I'm thinking that's a cool direction to go in. Yeah.
Mm.
Incorporating AI. I I've heard some AI compositions, and I don't think much of them. But maybe in 50 years they'll have an AI clarinetist. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so that's kind of catches us up to where I am today.
That's incredible. I mean, what's always fascinating to me about every musician is that once you decide you're going to do it, everyone hunkers in, and it doesn't seem to take very long, and music is such a catchy thing. It just really draws you in, and for those of you listening, I mean, as someone who also went to study professionally, I mean, I'm just amazed by your background. I mean, such a rich heritage and such a both in terms of quality of teaching, but also on quality of experiences. And you don't as someone who wants to learn an instrument have to do all this, but you can do as much as you want. And that's I think what your story shows is that you can play all over the world and it doesn't it does require good teachers and education, but it doesn't necessarily require that you have a degree if you are in hot pursuit and willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
Exactly. And I'd also like to add, I've done an extensive amount of traveling.
Mhm.
I've been to places that most people probably have never heard of. Probably the most interesting country was Tonga, Tonga Tapu. And I was out there playing, but I wanted to visit there. And then a few years back, I went to the American Samoan Islands, and I went there actually to study the voice.
Oh,
And so I had a 2-week residency, And I didn't take my clarinet. I just dove into what why their voices are so beautiful. They're deep, rich, and penetrating, um, transparent. And I thought, wow, that could be a clarinet sound.
Mhm.
Oh, and so I came back very, very rich from that experience.
Did Harold Wright ever talk? Mr. Marsalis was really into the human voice, so much so that he made me take voice lessons, as he did many people. But was Harold Wright into the voice, or is that something that just came later?
Well, Harold Wright, he always had a gorgeous sound. I mean, my God.
Mhm.
Um, but but what works for him didn't work for me. I couldn't play double lip, and I thought, if I can't play double lip, I can't sound like Harold. And so I had to rework and change a bunch of things around and put it into a system that would work for me,
Right.
o- only for me. And I think that the maybe this sounds snobby, and I don't mean for it to, but the less you farm yourself out, the stronger you become inside as an individual.
Mhm.
And if you're always trying to please this person, please that teacher, you know, you never really grow as an individual because you don't have time.
Mhm.
And so my travels, I spend every December in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
I go to Zihuatanejo and Oaxaca,
Mhm.
and I do house concerts.
Ah.
And this last December, I was in Oaxaca, and I did some house concerts on bass and horn. And it's a great experience. The audiences are very welcoming, and the city is beautiful, and I just like stuff like that.
How do you book those?
Well, that's kind of a house secret, but but I
Amazing.
yeah, I've been doing house concerts since 20 2015.
You should, in my opinion, just because it is one of the fastest ways to connect to people that don't necessarily have a lot of music exposure. And because it's in their home and because it's so intimate, I think it really, really awakens people to possibility around music and really opens them up. And so I think it's a very valuable skill to be able to book those, because it will help people connect to music more, right? To me, it's a very intimate way to play. It's a very nice thing.
And I'll share one secret with you, that I've had all my life. It's not about how good you play.
Right,
You have to have that, but it's about marketing,
right.
marketing strategist. And I'd say about 85% of me is a marketing strategist,
Hmm.
and the rest just do what I can do. But people don't understand that I spend hundreds of hours every year marketing.
Hmm.
That's why I'm get to play in Mexico.
I see. That's
Correct.
great.
Yeah. Um,
And where'd you
so
learn those skills?
you know what? Life taught me those.
Okay.
I didn't read it out of a book or go to school for it. I don't have a degree in marketing, but I have degrees in music and I have a degree in theory. Now, theory has helped me a lot. It's highly analytical.
Mhm.
And so you take those and you punch it into music marketing or the business of music, if you will. And that's how I got it. I learned how to do it myself. It's a DIY, DIYer. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really, really great. Yeah, and that is a really important thing, I think, for those listening who are already on the professional path or well into their professional journey, is that you have to figure out what other skills you have that will enhance your ability to get work or to connect with your audience. And marketing is definitely a good skill to have.
Yes, it is. And the other thing is you have to be able to think outside the box.
Mhm.
That's very important. You have to have creativity. You have to have willpower. You have to have drive. You have to have stick to itiveness, if you will. And don't stop. Just keep going until you get what you want. And you will get what you want eventually. It might take a while.
Mhm. What got you were your parents out of the box thinkers? How or do you think that's something you can learn? Like, what
Oh,
was that else you?
what? My both my parents are gone now.
Yeah.
But they were thinking inside the box. They didn't have the creativity power, um, that I have, and, but they were, as I said, they were supportive and wonderful. But I have developed my own skills that work for me. Now this may not work for somebody else, but
Right.
it's only for me, and you have to be kind of selfish in what you want, and but you have to be nice. You have to be nice to people and kind and subtle, and that's what works.
Yeah, that's amazing. If someone was listening to this podcast and thought, "Wow, I don't know that I'm gonna be Marianne, but I would love to try," what would you tell them to do to pick up a wind instrument and to start to play or learn to play, like, right now?
Well, it all depends on the age.
Mhm,
If you're talking about somebody in their 30s,
mhm,
sorry about that, but it's too competitive.
mhm.
For people that you should start it, I, God, I can't play. I don't play for enjoyment. I play for success. I practice hard. I put in for all you people out there. I put in 5 to 6 hours a day,
I see you posting a lot. I know you're practicing a lot. I can tell that.
and I'm playing a lot. And I I feel in order to move forward and achieve, you've got to put in that kind of time.
Mhm,
Um, so I don't know what else to say.
mhm. And what if you're not I mean, you have such a rich heritage. I understand protecting the integrity of the craft, but what if you're not that committed, but you want to have the experience? And what would you suggest someone do?
Well, there's always local community orchestras to play in. Um, go to concerts, I don't know, whatever, chamber music performances, stuff like that.
Think it's
But
important to make friends with people like you for sure, because people like you are an inspiration for those that just want to dabble or are just kind of curious. And dabblers help pay for tickets and also buy reeds from merchants and buy clarinets and take lessons. And it's wonderful. I always have felt whenever I've played chamber music concerts that humanity is so desperate. People out there are so desperate to have that experience of what it's like to be with a musician. They always want to be so close to you, right? And so it's an opportunity if you can study with someone like you or hear people like you to feel inspired about what's possible.
well, yes. Gosh, I don't know how to follow that up. That's profound. That's about as good as it gets.
Well, it's just so important, and I think that's one of the reasons we're running this podcast is because we're trying to teach people that, well, your career path and so many people's career paths look so just fluid and easy, and it all started with one thing: a desire to want to try.
That's correct, Lisa. Yes.
And so I really appreciate you taking the time, and I myself learned a ton about your background, and I had no idea. I knew you had a rich heritage just from the way you play and from the way you present yourself, and I knew that you were very accomplished, but I didn't know the things you shared with us today, and I'm so appreciative to get to know you a little bit better, and I am so envious you live on a houseboat. I love houseboats. I think it's an amazing thing that you have that beautiful escape every morning, and lucky you. I will watch your feed for those beautiful photos.
Yes, I'm very lucky. I I've just had a really good life.
Keep at it because the world needs more of you.
Oh, well, I don't know about that.
Oh, for sure. The world needs more of you, so keep at it. It's clearly working for you and people enjoy you clearly from everything you've done, so keep at it.
Thank you, Lisa. That means a lot to me.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.